There are people who walk into a room and shift the atmosphere without saying a word. They are not the loudest. They are not the flashiest. They're not chasing anyone's approval. These people don't react. They respond. They don't explain. They simply exist. With power. What makes them different? It's not what they say. It's what they do. It's not their emotions. It's their control over them. These people live by a code. A hard code. It's sharp like ice, solid like stone, and silent like the grave. This code is Stoicism. But in today's hyper-emotional, hyper-reactive, soft-centered world, Stoic habits don't inspire everyone. In fact, they trigger the weak. Because discipline offends the disorganized, silence offends the insecure, and clarity offends the confused. Today, you'll learn 10 cold Stoic habits that trigger weak minds. This is not a guide for the faint-hearted. This is not comfort. This is truth. Let's begin. Habit 1. Saying no. Without explaining yourself, a man is invited to a party, a big event. Everyone's going. He replies, "No, nothing more." The host frowns. Friends whisper. People talk behind his back. How rude. He's distant. He's changed. But the Stoic knows, when you guard your time, you guard your life. He owes no explanation for protecting his energy. Weak minds believe every no needs a justification. They fear rejection, so they twist themselves to be liked. They say yes to things they hate and call it being nice. The Stoic doesn't do this. To him, no is complete. It's a shield. It's a filter. It's peace. And because of that, it intimidates. Habit 2. Thriving in silence. In a world where everyone screams louder just to be heard, the Stoic doesn't. He enters the room quietly. He watches. He speaks little. And when he does, it means something. Others squirm in the silence. They can't sit still without checking their phones, refreshing their feeds, or filling the void with words. They say, "Why are you so quiet?" As if quiet is a flaw. But the Stoic understands that silence is a weapon. It's where clarity is born, where wisdom sharpens its edge, and where chaos reveals itself. Weak minds equate noise with intelligence. But the Stoic knows. Still waters run deep. Silence doesn't show emptiness. It shows self-possession. Habit 3. Not arguing, only acting. You insult a Stoic and he won't bark back. He won't raise his voice. He'll look at you, maybe nod, and walk away. He doesn't need to prove anything. Why? Because to him, results matter more than rebuttals. The weak find this unbearable. They thrive on drama, on getting the last word. They crave validation for their opinions, even when they're wrong. They think silence means defeat. But the Stoic's silence is not surrender, it's superiority. He understands. Arguing with a fool only makes two. He doesn't fight battles that don't matter. He fights the ones inside, with discipline and control. Habit 4. Cutting off. Toxic people. Instantly. There's no 3-strike rule, no second, third, or fourth chance. The Stoic watches your actions and not your words. One act of betrayal, one sign of repeated disrespect, and you're done. Cold? Maybe. Necessary? Absolutely. Weak minds stay in broken relationships out of fear. Fear of being alone, fear of conflict, fear of judgment. They justify mistreatment. They confuse loyalty with bondage. But the Stoic knows that life is short, and who you keep in your circle shapes your fate. So, he cuts quickly, cleanly, quietly, and then walks forward, unburdened. Habit 5. Mastering emotions instead of displaying them. A Stoic feels deeply, more than you know, but you'll never see it leak out. His heart may break, his world may collapse, but his face stays calm. Not because he's heartless, but because he refuses to let pain become a performance. The weak mind doesn't understand this. To them, pain must be posted. Feelings must be validated. Tears must be seen. But the Stoic doesn't cry for the camera. He cries in solitude, in his journal, in his prayers. Then, he straightens his back, squares his shoulders, and walks on. Because emotions are not leaders and they are signals. He listens, not obeys. Habit 6. Not caring about being liked. The Stoic walks into a room and doesn't care if you notice. He speaks the truth, even if it hurts. He stands his ground, even if he stands alone. He doesn't flatter, he doesn't play politics, and that makes weak people angry because they live on likes. They feed on applause. Their identity is borrowed from approval. But the Stoic's compass is internal. He's led by values, not trends. He doesn't need to be loved. He needs to be real. And in a world of people-pleasers, authenticity is offensive. Habit 7. Embracing boredom and repetition. Most people want excitement, they crave novelty. But the Stoic, he thrives in repetition. Wake, train, write, read, reflect, again and again. He doesn't seek stimulation, he seeks mastery. Weak minds can't handle boredom. They call discipline rigid. They escape to distractions. They run from silence and call it fun. But the Stoic stays. He repeats, he refines, he grows, because behind every boring practice is a powerful transformation. Habit 8. Taking full responsibility. The Stoic doesn't blame. He doesn't say, "It's not fair." He doesn't look outward. He looks inward. If something goes wrong, he asks, "What could I have done better?" Weak minds find this unbearable. They want to point fingers, to stay victims, to hold others accountable before they hold themselves. But the Stoic knows, as long as you blame, you give away your power. So he owns his pain, owns his losses, owns his success. Responsibility is heavy, but to the Stoic it is freedom. Habit 9. Training the mind more than the body. Yes, the Stoic may train his body, but the real battlefield is internal. He reads Marcus Aurelius at dawn. He reflects on his flaws at night. He sharpens his thinking. He rewires his reactions. He examines his life like a scientist, with curiosity, not emotion. Weak minds train their bodies for the mirror. Strong minds train their thoughts for reality. Muscles can't help you when your thinking is weak. Looks fade, but character compounds. That's why the Stoic builds wisdom, not vanity. Habit 10. Meditating on death daily. The Stoic wakes up and remembers, "I could die today," not in fear, but in gratitude. He doesn't run from death, he walks beside it. He doesn't pretend time is unlimited, he uses every second with purpose. Weak minds don't want to think about death. They avoid it, distract from it, escape it with entertainment. But the Stoic? He uses death as a motivator. He lives each day as if it were his last. Because one day, it will be. And when that day comes, he will not be surprised. He will be ready. If these habits sound harsh to you, you're not alone. The world today teaches softness, emotional dependence, overthinking, oversharing, avoiding pain. But the Stoic, he does the opposite. He sharpens his mind, disciplines his spirit, controls his impulses, and walks in truth, no matter how cold it feels. And because of that, he triggers the weak. But let them be triggered, because growth doesn't come from comfort. It comes from confrontation with the self. So the next time someone says, "You've changed," "You're too cold," "You don't care," smile. It means you've leveled up. It means you've awakened. It means you've become Stoic. If this video sparked something in you, leave a comment below. Tell us, which Stoic habit do you already live by, and which one will you adopt starting today? Share this with someone who's ready to embrace the cold clarity of self-mastery. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because we're just getting started. And this path isn't easy, but it's worth it. Welcome to the few. Welcome to the unshakable. Welcome to the Stoic.